Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Hoff, and this is another edition of Kitchen Table Talks. And today we're talking about men's social networks and how they are shrinking alarmingly. And perhaps it's not surprising that our personal and professional networks have shrunk in size during the pandemic, but the degree of contraction for men is especially alarming as opposed to other genders. And in a recent interview with Kevin Delaney, Marissa King, a professor of organizational behavior at the Yale School of Management, found that men's networks shrunk close by 30% as opposed to women's connections, for example. And what we know in times of crisis, this isn't out of the ordinary, what we know in times of crisis is that people's networks tend to do what they call turtling in or facing inward. And that actually research has shown that during this period that communication among close colleagues has actually increased by 40%, but at the expense of our outer layer of our network, meaning that there's a thing known as Dunbar's number that says that we have the capability of about 150, keeping contact about 150 people in our network from our inner circle to our outer circle. And what is happening is that most of us are turtling in and staying close to our inner circle. Why is this a problem? Well, they found that most people who have 5 or more close connections didn't experience a level of loneliness during this epidemic. But the problem is that we also know from research, a lot of research, that most Americans don't have 5 close connections. And I would argue that that's even worse for men, so as opposed to other genders. So there's 2 factors in play. So why is this? Why are men's networks shrinking? Well, there's a lot of reasons. The way we're socialized is one of them. For example, there seems to be there's 2 factors in play, according to Marissa King, and that is one that women and men maintain their networks differently. That women tend to maintain their networks through conversation, but men tend to do things together, like golf, sporting events, happy hours or something like that, right? And because of the pandemic, a lot of that event stuff, obviously has shrunk. So men tend to be, not being able to have as much opportunities for networking as opposed to women, for example, who are we could argue, much more skilled at having conversation and keeping conversations going with their network. So women aren't as susceptible to isolation when this turtling in or going inward happens in their social networks, but men are. And so, and oftentimes to tragic effect, this these parents' grief just came across my social network. I was yesterday, as a matter of fact, where they lost their son, and you can see them describing a continual isolation that happened to him. And this is just one story out of many that is happening now. So what do we do? Well, one of the best pieces of advice is to kind of reach out. That we have to do a better job of maybe reaching out to our wider network or even our inner network, right? For men, especially, maybe speaking to the men, our inner network. And obviously people are reluctant to do this because there's this idea that it's going to be awkward. These people haven't heard from me in a while. That tends to get in the way of people doing some of these things. But it's critical in just our lives to reach out maybe to people to say, I'm thinking about you, I really appreciate you, or something like that. And this is a time of year where I think you can do that. It's a reflective time of year. We're transitioning from one year into another. Yeah, I know it's a social construct, but but this is an opportunity for people to be reflective and maybe begin to start reaching out to those things. I was thinking about recently about a boss I had when I was in the corporate world, who was very influential to me, and I don't think I ever told him, at that time of my life, how important he was to me. And I think I'm going to seek him out and let him know that. So that would be an example of that. So men's social networks are shrinking because of this pandemic. and sometimes very detrimental effect. And so it's our task now to be aware of it, and then also to support each other, maybe as men, in reaching out to other people and beginning to expand our network and touch our network. Because maybe another video I'd do is how important for our careers, for our lives, for our mental well-being, maintaining a network is, and having all that kind of support in our lives. So that's my video for today. We're at the end of the year. Happy holidays to everybody. Please stay close to your loved ones, and maybe even reach out to those people that you haven't spoken to in a while. And I hope you have a safe and happy end of the year. So peace.